Let's talk to Nick Freeman, motoring lawyer, of course, and just the man to talk to, because extraordinary story, Nick. Very good morning to you. On the front page of the Times today, about councils sending out bailiffs now to millions of motorists every single year to collect unpaid traffic fines. And the study that absolutely floored me was more than 18 million penalty charge notices have been issued in last year alone.
Yeah, 35,000 a day.
Yeah.
Which is astonishing. Absolutely. But they've raised, in the last 5 years, nearly £5 billion. The problem is the government was going to introduce legislation in 2019. This was challenged. These figures mainly come from private car parks.
Yeah.
And so the government realised it needed to tackle this. It made proposals to basically force private car parks to clean up their act, which included a 10-minute grace period. These proposals were challenged in 2022, and in June 22, the government pulled the plug and didn't proceed. So these private car parks have literally had a field day since then. There is talk that they are going to introduce their own code, which is a watered-down version in October of this year. But it doesn't deal with the main problems. It will introduce, if it happens, a 10-minute grace period, which is important. But basically, I think it's important for your listeners to realise that when you park on private land, you're basically entering a contract, and it's nothing more than that. And what happens is these private car parks give the impression that they're an official source. They issue official documents, and they have bullying techniques. They pretend that the documents are official, and if you don't respond, and it puts the fear up people, and people just say, OK, I'm just going to pay within 14 days, pay half price. The caps are different from local authorities, from councils. And of course, at the end of the day, if you ignore it and don't pay, they do have a legal right to take you to the small claims court, as they do. And then, of course, if an order is made and you don't pay it, then the bailiffs, the small claims court can send the bailiffs in. And that this is what's happening. Right. So from something that's very, very small, it escalates massively.
Yes.
And people, I think, bury their head. And the advice I give to your listeners is always challenge something if you feel it's unfair, but don't under any circumstance ignore it, because it won't go away. And it will end up costing.
I'll tell you some of the challenging processes, and I'm not even talking about the private places, but I mean, I remember having a set to with Southwark Council about something that I got a ticket for, which I thought was unfair. But the process itself is sort of designed to put you off going through it, because at the end of the day, you go, well, do you know what? I'm just going to pay you the 65 quid. You know, I once appealed a ticket that I got for going up the street a wrong way, but I didn't see the sign because it was about 30 feet in the air, the no entry sign, you know. And since, by the way, since I reported that and appealed it, they've made the sign much more visible. But on the occasion, they basically threw my appeal out before I'd even sent it to them, on the grounds that it wasn't appealable.
Well, it is appealable, and I think if you'd appealed it, you would have actually won, Mike. But the problem is, as you rightly pointed out, we don't have the time or patience to deal with this.
Well, this is it. I'd sent them 2 separate emails. I'd filled out a form, because a lot of it you have to do by post, which nobody does. I'd had 3 phone conversations, and by the end of it, the guy was like, well, you can always appeal again. I was like, do you know what? I can't be bothered.
Well, it's just not worth your time.
No.
And one of the things the government was supposed to resolve was the appeal process. That is on the agenda. Because at the moment, the appeal process is designed to frustrate. It's basically the computer says, no, you can't speak to a human being.
Right.
And that's why people just say, I'm going to pay. And of course, the bosses of these car parks are making millions and millions of pounds a year. I think Europarks, the boss there, made 16 million last year, which is incredible for having a car park, or many car parks. So what needs to happen is there needs to be a single regulator. The private car parks at the moment are members of association, but the government just needs to get hold of it as it intended, have a single regulator, and get to grips with it to sort out this unfairness, because it's another situation, Mike, we've talked about many times. The motorist is being used as a cash cow, but this time the motorist is furnishing the cash of private individuals. It's not even for the benefit of public use.
Well, it seems like they're furnishing all sorts of people with money, not just the private individuals, but also councils. Well. Yeah, exactly right. And in terms of the local councils, I mean, what are they doing with all the money? You know, these are all people that say they're going bankrupt because they haven't got any money, but they're raking in billions just for motorists alone.
Well, their wages do seem to go up.
They always manage to do that, of course.
But it's also interesting to note that every inquiry made by by these private car parks to DVLA, they get £2.50. So in the last 12 months there, DVLA has increased its revenue to about £33 million. It's gone up nearly 17%. So there's so many people to benefit from this incompetence and unfairness that many people think, I'm just going to leave it for a little bit longer because we're going to make some more money, which is wrong.
And then we had a new twist in the tale yesterday. I was listening to a story, I think it was on the news here at Talk, that a load of people are now getting their car registration numbers cloned, and then funnily enough getting penalty charge notices because the cloned car then does something illegal, either drives in a bus lane or goes over the Dartford crossing and doesn't pay, something like that, and they're getting hit up for fines now for places their car hasn't been, and that's a real headache because you have to then prove where your car was.
Absolutely, and this has been going on for years and years and years. And the people who do this, of course, are it's illegal, but it's very frustrating for the registered keeper of the original vehicle, because you need photographic evidence. You need to spend hours and hours and hours trying to resolve this, and it's not a case of I'm just going to pick up the phone and explain to someone. But you can't give in. You've got to provide the evidence, provide photographic evidence of your car, the registration number of your car, your V5, submit it all, and just fight it. Don't keep capitulating. You've got to fight it. You've got to try and hold your principles, and you will win at the end of the day. But it does take time and frustration.
It does. Nick, good advice. Thank you very much indeed. Nick Freeman, motoring lawyer, there on the news that motorists are being hit